I'm glad to have the chance to talk to you about this a little bit more formally. In the 5 years that we've known each other, we've spoken a lot about DavidsbÜndlertänze, and we spent a little bit of time in a much smaller studio, so it's been a pleasure today to have the space and to have the chance to expand on some of what you've told me over the years. I thought a good place to start would be to talk about when you first heard about the ballet, whether or not you knew there was a new ballet coming before you saw your name on rehearsal, or what you knew going into the room.
No, no, we didn't. We never did, and we didn't in this either. As you said, the name was on the board, said New Ballet, with Karen and myself. And there was no coming in. He didn't come to me in a hall, say, I think I'll do this, and there was nothing like that.
And so can you talk a little bit about that first rehearsal, what was told to you or what wasn't told to you about what you were about to start with him?
Nothing was unusual from any other thing, any other rehearsal basically. Or when you have a new ballet, you come in with a huge anticipation and excitement. To be called for a new ballet with Mr. Balanchine is fantastic to be called for that. Even if you knew he was there every day, he was in teaching class every day, and I can't say we took him for granted, but obviously when you are working for somebody, it's your boss. He's there always. He's doing a new ballet. That's nice, that's fantastic. So you walk in and Rosemary's there like she always was. And he listens to the music. He had Gordon playing, Gordon Bolsner, and he will ask him to play what he's expecting to choreograph in that part of piece of music. And the first pas de deux is, as you know, she's not on point shoes, not slippers, but she's in heels. Mm-hmm. And he started this pas de deux, and go there, and we realized this. We had no knowledge of the music. Mm-hmm. Again, he hadn't told us. He might have told Rosemary, I don't know, but I don't think so. So we hear this very soft and very music filled with feelings, really. And he finished it in probably about an hour.
That first pas de deux?
Yeah, the first pas de deux. And then we didn't see him for another week. And I might just say that when we came back a week later, we all forgot what it was. We forgot. All of the four of us couldn't remember. Karen and I, Rosemary, and Mr. B himself. And he set up to just choreograph a new piece. Mm. And looking at it today, I realize, I think that what he had first choreographed was never really matched as what we all forgot. But we soon forgot about it. Mm. It might have been in the second rehearsal. I don't think in the first rehearsal, where he sort of turned to me and he said, "You know, dear, you are Schumann," meaning I'm portraying the composer Schumann. And I think Rosemary was I don't think Rosemary was looking at me, and she came over to me. And she looked at me and said, did you hear what Mr. Balanchine said? I said, yes. And she said, she didn't repeat what he said, but she made me aware that this is not something he usually tells his dancers. Mm. In a plotless work like Allegro Brillante or Chaconne, he wasn't telling us anything. But to turn to me and say, you are being Schumann, that was for Rosemary, knowing him for so many more years than I have. Mm-hmm. It sunk in. I think not right there, but during that evening, on the next day, until the premiere, I realized what he had actually given me or told me. And that was a lot for him to even say anything. Mm-hmm.
And so how did hearing that you were Schumann affect how you moved forward in the work? Did you research Schumann?
Well, that's a very good question. I'm glad you asked, because yes, I did. I certainly did research his life as much as I could find, and his marriage with Clara, and his how he lost his mind, and and that's why he told us that there were these two characters in the two fictional characters in Schumann's mind. That's how he wrote this piece with Florestan and Eusebius. Those two names I didn't look up before seeing you, because I seem not to have forgotten. There are other names I forget over the years, but those two names I have for some reason not forgotten. And Eusebius is the slower, more romantic music, and the Florestan is the hard-edged, the angry character.
I was looking through notes that I'd taken years ago, and I found something from Schumann's diary where he says, entirely new personages will be featured in this diary from now on. Two of my best friends, whom, however, I have never set eyes upon. And he was talking about Florestan and Eusebius.
There you go.
Which I thought was a fun,
good.
Like totally imaginary.
Yeah, so totally.
Yeah. So did that, you mentioned earlier in the coaching with me and Ashley that we shouldn't necessarily think about Florestan and Eusebius.
No.
But that you think Balanchine was kind of in conversation with those personalities. Can you talk a little bit more about that, or how you see them characterizing the work, or whether or not you did feel that way?
Well, I believe over the years and how he choreographed all his fantastic ballets, it was an inward conversation with himself. I seem to find, as he didn't say anything to us, and after rehearsal we never sat in a corner like dancers used to do. It's lovely to sit with a partner after a rehearsal and talk about this and that, and you've done a good work, but he would never stop at the door and talk about anything. So whatever his thoughts or whatever his reason for doing that ballet at that time in his life, whether it was Vienna Waltzes, or let's say he would talk about when he did Apollo in 28 when he arrived at Yakovlev. I mean, he might have talked to friends over dinner, but I wasn't in any of these dinners. I did have one dinner with him, though, however, which was a wonderful memory.
You know, having worked with both you and Karin now, you both seem to have very rich inner lives while you were dancing on stage. Have you thought about why, I mean, this would be pure speculation, but what it was about you or your dancing that you think he was drawn to for portraying Schumann?
Well, I think that he did his ballets when he had people to do those particular ballets, and often he waited. He would listen to the music, but it wasn't the right time, and there wasn't the right dancer or right dancers, and then he would do other things. And I like to think that he might have listened to the music and had the idea of doing this ballet, and then I was there, and maybe I would like to think that then he decided to do it, but I think all the 8 parts, 8 dancers are important. Okay, so he did tell me I'm Schumann, and I do have a solo, and as I was the only one to do it over the many years until I really left the company or did my last performances, I did realize that it was a gift, really, a gift for me, and that's okay to feel that, even though we are 8 people. I was proud in a way that he saw me, he'd seen me, because taking his class was very difficult. I mostly, lots of the step I just couldn't grasp, and he saw all of us in class, and he saw the hunger, some more than others. Yes.
I've heard a lot of dancers who worked for Mr. Balanchine talk about how they would be given certain roles at different times, and thinking about the ballets that both the ballets that he made for you, and then the ones that he re-choreographed or reimagined with you in them, like Kammer Music, and then the Four Temperaments when you did Phlegmatic, and Walpurgisnacht, and then Davidsbündlertänze. Is there something that you felt like Davids was asking of you different than these other parts that he'd made for you? You mentioned a little bit earlier that there's nothing comparable to the solo.
That's right.
And I guess I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit more about what was asked of you in different roles versus what was asked of you in this role.
This is what I see now. It's the being aware, being there, and being curious, and not putting yourself in, say, now I know what I'm about. I know this is who I am. This is what it is. And he allowed us, that was his philosophy all throughout his life, that he made us never sit there or stand there and to be comfortable. And I think comfortable is the right word. And so I'm trying to get into your question, is that when he called me in for this ballet, I had done Kammer Music and Faust. We had done Faust, yes. And also we did the Hungarian Gypsy Years during the Tchaikovsky Festival. And what I felt, which is a feeling that I think that feeling of knowing that he trusted us, well, you have to talk about, he trusted me, and he trusted a whole lot of dancers, but when you realize that, and I felt the trust more than anywhere else, was in the Hungarian Gypsy Years. He choreographed it in 1 week in the practice room. He didn't have so many years left. Nobody knew, naturally. And I realized that he trusted me so much. And it was, it's almost like a child who has been fighting with the mother and father, and finally the child realizes that the father and mother are trusting the child to finally behave, or whatever it might be. And to find that somebody is really trusting you, it gives you an enormous self-consciousness, and you are, responsibility too. And so most of the Hungarian Gypsy Years, he would constantly say, you know what to do, you know what to do. So when he gave a step, I would be in front and the 4 boys behind, and there was not a lot of time. So a lot of the time he would hardly give me a step, and he would go fast a step, and I would do it very fast. It was probably not a great ballet. It didn't survive, but that's neither here nor there. So when you're given that trust, you give that much more back.
Can you? It sounds like the second parada, the one that starts out with the urgent diagonal.
Yes.
It sounds like that was a similar experience for you, where he would give something to Karin, and then he'd say, you know what to do. And can you maybe expand on what that means when he said, you know what to do?
It was only it wasn't all the time. I mean, it wasn't all the way through a duet. It was on and off when we might be separating, and I'm in the back and the girl Karen is in front, and we were just both there to help him, because he was getting a little older, and we were so we were so active. I mean, we were not just standing waiting for the next step. In a way, one is waiting for the next sequence or the next step, but we were so active, and the minute he moved, the minute he took up a hand, we were right there. And then and everybody will always tell you, he always said, maybe we should do this, maybe we should do that. There were certain times in the stage rehearsal, I said it before, where he would say, no, we must do, where he saw a dancer being laid back, or he got irritated with the dancer. Maybe the dancer didn't take his class that morning, and so he was getting irritated. But otherwise, when he's in rehearsal with just two other dancers whom he trusted and whom he had cast for this role, it was communication between the three of us.
And I guess the whole cast, maybe other than Ebe, I think maybe Ebe Anderson hadn't been in the company very long, but everyone else was all dancers that he had. You were probably one of the ones that he had the less history with, because I think you'd been in the company 5 years then, and then...
Yes.
Yeah.
No, Ebe had not been there a long time. And of course Peter was,
Yeah. Did you think about, do you remember ever talking with the other dancers, or what that meant to be a part of that?
No.
And what about you and Karen talking about?
No, we didn't. Or we didn't go out and have coffee, and we didn't have either tea or little cakes, anything. We really didn't. Why? There was nothing to talk about. There really wasn't. I'm often puzzled when you have partners in companies. You might read an article over some famous Russian Bolshoi couple, and they're the closest friends, and they don't live. They're not partners in life. They're just closest friends, and they go this and they talk about it. And I thought, wow, that's not at all what you need to have a good partnership. You really don't need to discuss. You can talk if you like, but it doesn't make the partnership any more fantastic. It's what I've come to see.
Well, I feel like this in David's, your dynamic with Karen is so unique, especially because what you were saying earlier. Oftentimes she's leading you, and it's not that she's partnering you or lifting you, but she is. You're kind of taking her lead in a way, which you've said about this, and then about Brahms, Schoenberg, and other ballets, that you really understood what it was that Balanchine wanted from a partner. So in these pas de deux, it seems like that's kind of a tricky balancing act, or at least I find it's kind of tricky to balance how to be what I know is expected of me as a partner, while also being absent or being led in some way.
Yes.
I'm not sure I have a question at the end of this, but I feel like it feels like important to note that all of the dancing that was made for you in this really asks something different of a male dancer than in a lot of other Balanchine works. I think there's maybe something like melancholic or square dance has this kind of I don't want to say excess, but really expressive. There's a lot of gestures even that you were having me do earlier that I feel like you only really see ballerinas do some sort of fainting thing, and I think that I just think it must. You said it was a gift, and it's a gift to dance, but I think it's just so extraordinary to have someone see that for you when that's so unique to the repertoire.
But we all say the same thing. He got to know us much better than we knew ourselves. I was off. And that was. He didn't need these dancers that either were in total proportion or that you had an edge. You were off center. You had an awkwardness. It was awkward that he would call me, or to Rosemary, I think, if you would ask her. And I'm not so sure I was so pleased with it. I didn't really look out to be awkward, going to fifth position every day and doing classical turns. But it was, you see also when I'm working with you and having done it, there are things that when you see the dancer, yes, he was done on me, but I'm now standing there seeing you, and I may well ask you too much, I may way go over. Don't forget it's 40 years and we must do more. It was always more.
With Davidsbündlertänze, I think with the exception of Kay and Sally, I think everyone, the only people that Balanchine oversaw in those parts were you all. So there's this, the ballet is, like when I do this part, I'm dancing the Schumann role, but I'm also I'm just dancing your role because excuse me, there wasn't.
But it is yours now.
Yeah, but how is it different maybe to, coaching a ballet like this where it was you, it was so incredibly you?
I don't think it's done anywhere. No,
yeah,
I don't know of that any company is asking for this ballet. And now coming in of Nancy's invitation, this is emotional for me because it is, and just when Cameron sat down on the piano and hearing the music again, it's big. It's big. It's very big. And to stand here and give it to you with 4 temperaments. Since that filming, I was doing that till really 95 till I did my last performances. There were other people that went in now and then, but we were very few, and I was really the one when with 4 T's went in the program. I didn't know anything, but I assumed and hoped that I was down for phlegmatic, which I was. There was a season where I did sanguinic. There was a season I did sanguinic, which I really never really liked because then I knew somebody was doing phlegmatic, and then I was doing phlegmatic because that was really I felt my part. I felt it was my part.
Well,
is that
other
terrible
people,
to think?
No, other people told you similar things, I think. Isn't that true?
Yes, it was Tanya actually. Tanya Leclerc. She was out when she came rolled in one performance. She said, "I don't know how the company will do up with 4 temperament and Schumann when you're not here." That was sweet of her, Tanya.
Yeah, I'll say.
Tanya Kiel. Yeah, very sweet.
I think a lot of people kind of compare Davidsbündlertänze to Liebeslieder because of the structure and because it's so intimate and the piano is on stage.
Definitely.
But I do think one of the main differences is that really feels like you're a part of a group.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much. These 8 couples, 4 couples, sorry, I suppose it is 4 couples. Very much more interact.
Yeah. And then we didn't do this today in the filming, but there's that group dance in one of the final sections.
Yes.
How did that
What does
strike
that
you
mean really?
Yeah,
Yes, what does it mean? I didn't analyze it. He didn't want us to. He didn't explain anything, why he had us all in together. There's a moment where you are with the other girl, Suzanne's character. And Suzanne always, she did something with me. There's just one moment where you catch her eye. And Suzanne always talked to me, well, we had that moment. So she enjoyed that moment. And so it was up to us how we had a moment there Not in the rest of the ballet. Do we have a touch? I'm not, but I don't look into it. We didn't. But why Balanchine was such a phenomenal choreographer, that he knew that you bring them all in at one point. So there's a group. You might do a circle or diagonal with, so there is something holds it together. That's how I look at it. Not that the characters had to come in. Or
I think I like that, because I always felt like it kind of disrupted the mood of what you.
And it does. And that's good. I mean, if you read great novels of, let's say, Flaubert or something, L'éducation sentimentale, which is one of my favorite books, you have a novel like that, Phenomena. There will always be sections that have nothing to do with the story itself, but there's always something going on that is not relating to the story. But if that wasn't going on, the story wouldn't be as strong. Or if you see a film of Bergman or something, there is a conversation between two that really has nothing, if you want to look at it, with the actual plot. But without it, it's what greatness is. If you just stick to that story, you're not reaching further out, and that's why he was this great choreographer. But didn't share it with us really. Didn't. That's why I'm saying in the beginning it was him. It was an inward. I'm sure there were people to whom he shared it more.
Well, I imagine
most likely.
Yeah.
That's very possible.
Yeah. And then I imagine with the sets, there must have been a lot of discussion about.
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you remember being privy to any of that discussion?
Yes,
or seeing how
my costume kept changing. The girls have dresses that go here, and they had to be light. There was that curtain that went in, and the pianist is down there. And but whenever Tara Ratunian and Mr. B were discussing something, I wasn't part of it. We were fixing a step over in the corner, and so it was not our concern.
Did it when you did get it onto the stage?
Yes.
And how did you feel the set shaped, or did it affect?
Yes, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
I will say it was fantastic. And you might also say, but did you then? I think it dawned on me the piece he had done. It was pretty obvious that it was another masterpiece that he had created, and that it wasn't just something he did, just shaking something out. It was well thought through, and he had thought about it, I'm sure, for a long time, and didn't have the time, and didn't have the people to it.
And so what about in the solo, when he made this solo? There are the figures that come out.
Yes.
You were telling me that there's this kind of like building of urgency running out. Are these things that you that he talked about at all when he?
Well, he did, in the sense of he had his thing with critics all his life. He did not let them in to watch rehearsal. And that might have been Clive Barnes or Kisselgoff. They were probably dying to come in to see him choreograph. And he didn't let them in. I don't know about other choreographers. Do they go out with critics and to dinners? And he certainly didn't. He did not become friends with the critics. He knew they were there. You can't not have them writing up his ballets. He knew very well. But he shone it. He didn't. Was not his favorite thinking over the critics, and some of the critics might say something that he was not intending. It was not at all what he intended, and they're interpreting one of his oeuvre. That is not his intention, and he's reading it, or maybe he didn't read it. But so yes, they are critics. You know, the students from the school that are behind those cloaks usually, because I'd see them down there. And yes, he would give them name. You know, this is Clive Barnes, this is Anna Gill, and he would give them names. And that's when I said I found this letter of Arlene Croce, and say I hope I wasn't one of them. So it must have seeped out to them that he gave them secret names.
Did you ever feel in just hearing you talk about the critics and his relationship to the critics?
Yes.
Did you ever feel like you were in some way dancing something out for him, or you were Schumann, but was there any sense that you were also him in some way?
Himself?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Because I feel like that has been an interpretation of the ballet,
right.
that it's him reflecting on the end of his life or his relationship with certain
That's why I
dancers,
said also that he couldn't have done the ballet, let's say in the 70s or 60s. And when I walk out there, yes, he reflects a little bit on his own end. Mm-hmm. I would not be afraid to say that. Mm.
You danced this role then for well over a decade after the premiere.
Yes.
What was it like to, and you were very young when it was made, and so what was it like to grow both with and in this work, especially after when Balanchine wasn't around anymore? Right, and you had Karin, and then I think you had Suzanne as a partner for a little bit, and then you had Kira.
That's right. And Marilyn also went into the role. So yes, there were quite a few people, and looking back, it was an honor that I was still doing it. So keep doing it was responsibility, obviously, but it was also phenomenal. I think it's like if a young actor does Hamlet, and keep doing Hamlet for a long time, you grow in that role, and you will not play Hamlet. Laurence Olivier would play Hamlet differently in his 50s than he was in his 30s. It's the same text, but to be asked to do the same role is wonderful for the actor or the dancer, because you will bring new things to it. It was, in my life, when I danced it, it wasn't as, I believe, as you tell me, rare as infrequent now. It was still, if it hadn't been in a few seasons, spring, autumn, Saratoga, Washington, whatever, it would be brought back again after a few years. There might have been a 3-year period where it didn't go, and then we would go in and bring it back. Mm-hmm. And that was exciting, because the 3 years went by, and you are 3 years older. Mm-hmm. But you have grown. You've done other ballets, so you have grown, which is a wonderful thing. Lucky, I've been lucky. Very lucky.
Did it feel like for you that you needed to be in a certain mental state to?
No.
No.
It's again what I say. For somebody, they need to go into the whole Sturm und Drang and be that and wake up in the morning, have special food for. No, that's not what I was, and I think Balanchine saw that too. And I mean, he's worked with so many dancers over the years, and I'm sure he had some dancers that became very focused on something and couldn't do other things, and you let it go. If the dancer needs that, fine, let him or her do it. But I was definitely not like that, and I didn't know that was my character, but it obviously was. I don't become all this in mood thing, and now it's a Schumann. But on the other hand, when I knew it was going in the season, I was very glad it went back and starting rehearsal with Karen. We always started early. Karen, we start early, and so we got in the mood, or rather we got familiar with it again, and it was very exciting. I was looking forward to do it. That is there.
I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what you see being I don't mean this in a way questioning the importance, but I want to hear your thoughts about what makes it an important work in the company's history, and kind of in what makes it, you know, a relevant work to keep doing, because it does feel like something's that's been missing for a time, not doing it. But I also understand why it's a hard ballet to program, maybe sometimes.
Well, it's really up to the director of the company, how he or she feels where you would put in a ballet. For myself, I have nothing to. I can't. I'm not going to tell you I think you should go more often. No, that's not my place to say. I would never talk about something is easier for people to digest. That's not how you educate an audience. And he was doing it all the time. He was always educating an audience. And in matter of fact, he was saying to us, or maybe to me one day, he said, you know, if people can't pronounce DavidsbÜndlertänze, don't see it. If you can't pronounce it, don't see it. And what a fabulous remark. I mean, speaking German, he spoke multiple languages. And I like to speak also many languages, being Dane and not understand. I mean, Danish doesn't work all around when I work to. I even like to speak Russian. I've taught myself a bit of Russian. So if you can't pronounce DavidsbÜndlertänze, don't go and see it. Don't go.
I think that would maybe eliminate a huge portion of the company as well. I think it's we all call it Davids because we're afraid to say the whole
I
thing.
don't mind. But you know, who is the one who calls down for 8 o'clock? What's the name at the time? It was just David or David. That's fine. That's perfect. You don't have to stand on ceremony because it's 5 minutes to performance time. No, but that was his humor. He was funny sometimes. He could be very, very funny. And he saw life often as you know, there's so much ridiculous, absurdity is the word I was looking for. Because there are so much absurdity in life, the way human beings behave. We all do, I do myself, you know. But
then we get to do something beautiful.
Yes.
On stage.
Yeah.